welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. I decided to get out of the hotel and come and film a video down here for a change, as I like to keep things interesting, give some different views, different background, but also today a very different topic, something that's very different to what I usually talk about. I don't believe that I have discussed this video before, so I'm going to enjoy getting into this one for you, because I think it's important to remain connected to our emotions and recognize when we do feel that shame, when we do feel bad about ourselves, when we do feel like we're not good enough, when we do feel ugly, because none of us are perfect. We all do things wrong sometimes, and it's just a part of being human. But the most important thing is that we get back up and we keep moving, and we never stop, and we continue believing in ourselves. But unfortunately for us, narcissists do not want you to do that. Instead, what they want you to do is lay down and accept defeat, accept that you're not good enough, accept that you're ugly, accept that you're bad, you're crazy, you're wrong, accept all of these things that are negative about you. Yeah, that's really what they want for you. That is why I decided to create this video today, talking about the ways that narcissists make you feel ugly. And in fact, I do have 5 ways that they do usually tend to attempt to achieve that. And I'm going to get into these 5 things right now. So if this sounds good to you, please hit that thumbs up button down below. I appreciate your support. Okay, number 1. They will make you feel like you can't do anything right. Like everything you do is wrong. No matter what you do, there's always something wrong with it, or you could have done something more or something else. But nothing ever gets resolved. It doesn't matter what you do or how you do it or how often you do it. It's never good enough, because it actually has nothing to do with that at all. They're just looking for a fight, and that is why no matter what you do, it will never be enough. They will never be happy. But not only that, of course, they do have a void that can never be filled. Number 2, they will compare you with other people. When I say that, of course, I mean triangulation. They will triangulate you with a new supply, a friend, a family member, whoever else it may be. And they will suggest that this person is wealthier, more attractive. They could be in better shape. They could be taller than you. Whatever it may be, they will make it seem like you're small, like you're nothing in comparison to them. You're not as good as this other person. And it's really toxic, it's really bad, especially if you've got that in a relationship where you have someone who is constantly comparing you with other people. Of course, the reason why they do that is because they're very jealous, competitive. They're constantly comparing themselves. And not just to everyone who they're scrolling on social media to, but also to you. Yes, they are constantly comparing themselves to you and feeling like they constantly come up short, like they're nothing in comparison to you. And of course, they would be nothing in comparison to you, because all they ever do is compare themselves to you. They don't spend much time working on themselves, building themselves up, becoming something better or greater, becoming something that's worthy of respect, approval, and admiration, becoming something great. They don't spend enough time doing that. So of course, yes, they're going to be very jealous, and they're going to be comparing themselves to you. Of course, they're going to be doing that. Number 3. Now this is where we get a little bit dark. Because yes, they will mock and ridicule you. They will really want you to feel ugly. They will really want to make you feel like something is wrong with you. They will say that you are stupid, you're unattractive, you can't cook, you can't clean, you can't do anything. And no matter how much you try to do something, they will shame you for even trying. They will shame you for trying something new, so that you can never work up the courage to actually go out and do it. And instead, you just retreat within yourself, feeling like you're incapable, you're incompetent, you're unworthy, you're good for nothing. Yes, that's exactly how it makes you feel when they mock and ridicule you. But just know that they're doing it to make you feel small, because actually it is them who feel small. But if they can make you feel smaller, they can make themselves feel larger in comparison to you once they put you beneath them. With contempt, they will be dismissive. They will act like you're completely worthless and beneath their consideration. They will insult your personal taste and preferences. They will insult the way that you do your hair, the way you do your makeup, the clothes that you wear, the way you walk, the way you talk. They will even go off on you about your emotional states, as though you're behaving erratically and your emotions are out of control, when they're always the orchestrators of that, they're the cause of it. They're pushing and provoking you to react, to make you act out of control, and then they're shaming you for it as well. They will also shame you for your needs and wants, your desires, your goals and ambitions, your dreams, pretty much anything you have in life to look forward to be proud of, to want for your future. They will shame you for that. And many of us may think, many of us may wonder, why would someone do that? Why would someone shame us for our hopes and ambitions for the future, the things that we want to achieve? And of course, it's because they have no hope for themselves in their lives. They feel like they're not good for anything themselves. So of course they want to make you feel that way, because the more that you climb up, the more that things get better for you, the more that you manifest your desires and the reality that you want, the more that it triggers them to look at themselves and their own lives and how they're not at your level, and they're never going to be. Never. And deep down they know that. They just don't want to be reminded of it. 5. The fifth way that narcissists make you feel ugly is by betraying you, lying, cheating, stealing, making you feel like you're not worthy of being valued or protected. And they do that because they are completely careless, impulsive, they lack empathy, and they're egotistical. They have this obsessive need to feel important. And they also have an inability to regulate their own emotions. So all of these processes are being operated, conducted through you as this external regulator, through betraying you. So if they can betray you and make you feel like you're not safe, you're not protected, you're not valued, you're not good, or they can just take things away from you, steal from you, cheat on you, lie to you, keep you off balance, destabilize you, then it provides them with a sense of stability and security. They feel big by making you feel small. So that's why they do it. That's why they betray you. That's what that's about. And one of the worst things they will do, one of the most hurtful things, and this is really one of their favorite tools in their toolbox. It's like their go-to thing when all else has failed, when everything else has failed to get a reaction out of you. They're thinking, all right, this is the one. This is the one that's going to get them. This is the one that they go to. And that is the public humiliation. So what they do then is they bring other people into it. They mock and ridicule you in front of other people to get everyone to shame you and see you as though you're less than human. There's something wrong with you. You're unattractive. You don't have much money. You haven't got a good job, whatever it may be. Your home isn't as nice as other people's. It could be your clothes, the way you dress. You're not as stylish as they are. They'll always find something wrong because they're looking for something to be wrong. And it's almost like, you know, they have this predatory sense and they can sense in other people who is going to be like them, who else is missing something, who else is insecure about themselves, who else is out there just looking for a target, looking for someone who they can bring down, to elevate themselves at their expense, to make themselves feel better by making someone else feel small. It's almost like they already know who they can find who's going to be like that. And so that's exactly what they do. They bring in other people to publicly humiliate you. And typically what does happen, and this is easier said than done, but this is how it goes. If they can't get a reaction out of you and instead you remain stoic, non-reactive, they will typically just walk away. They'll just leave you alone and find someone else. But unfortunately, I mean, let's keep it real, it's not that easy, is it? To do that. It's a nice idea, but if we're being realistic, it's not that simple at all. When we discuss the mechanics behind it of how you would actually achieve it. So of course, many of us, they bring in other people, they publicly humiliate us, and yeah, we feel ugly. We feel like shit. We feel small. We feel like something is wrong with us. Because we're authentic, we're human, we're vulnerable. That's why, yes, we do feel down sometimes. We take on that shame, which they never own, and they will never own that. Because narcissists, they can't be vulnerable. They can't be intimate, they can't connect. They operate from their ego, not from their soul. But as for us, they're having a field day with us. It's like constantly they're on us, deflecting the shame, making us feel bad about ourselves, making us feel like we're not good enough. And it really goes back to their childhood, because they abandoned their true self in childhood, and then they constructed what they believe to be a perfect, flawless, invincible, false self that cannot be affected, it cannot be phased, it cannot be moved. And if there's anything wrong, if there's anyone who's less than perfect, anyone who's inferior, it's got to be you. It's got to be you. No matter how much you try to be good, but you could be far better than them. Typically the victim usually is. and yet they will still find a way to turn everything onto you as though something's wrong with you. And you've got to change, you've got to be better, you've got to mold yourself into exactly what they need you to be in that exact moment. And also consider that their feelings can change from one moment to the next. So it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of the movie. It's kind of like you're like a caretaker, like a nanny, and you've got all of these jobs that you have to fulfill, and you have a really demanding boss, and it's like you've got like a broom in one hand, you've got like a sponge on your foot, you've got like I don't know, a vacuum cleaner on the other hand, and you're just trying to do all of these things at once, because yeah, they do compartmentalize, and they need you to be so many different things in so many different moments and so many different situations, while at the same time painting you in a bad light, as though you're not good enough, you're bad, you're ugly, to make you feel bad about yourself. And at the same time, they're not even a fraction of what you are. They're not even really doing anything at all. It really is crazy making. It's gaslighting. But this is exactly what they do. This is exactly what they do. They dump all of their toxic shame onto you, because they felt rejected, they felt unwanted, abandoned, abused, neglected in their childhood. It was very traumatic for them. And so they constructed a false character. And now this false character demands attention, validation, admiration, whenever it needs it. And if it doesn't get it, what do? They devalue and degrade you. They put you down. Now they want to make you feel small because they feel small in comparison to you. But here's the thing, maybe we didn't come here to be small or to feel small. Maybe we came here to be big. As empaths, we're meant to be leaders. We're meant to be leading people in the right direction. We're meant to be chosen ones. And this does remind me of a link that I saw on my feed earlier today on YouTube, my subscriptions. I can't remember who it was, one YouTuber that I follow who does videos about narcissistic abuse. He posted a video about this 12-year-old girl in Las Vegas just a couple of weeks ago. She took her own life. She committed suicide because following up to that, the months before, she was being bullied by many children in her school. And it was all in her school, it was all on social media. They just bullied her right until the very end. And I saw the interview with her parents. They were very upset. And also, even after she died, as the reporter said in the video, those kids still were not satisfied. It still wasn't enough that she had taken her own life and that they had been bullying her up to that point months before. And one girl even posted on social media about her, saying something that she would go to hell just to stomp on her head. And this is not a unique case either. From that video, I then watched other, and she was bullied to death until she took her own life. And then again, they were mocking her after she died, saying things about her grave. And then there was another kid. He was bullied about his teeth and his glasses. One thing they all had in common is that they were actually nice children. They were kind, they were empathic. And many of the commenters in that video said that as well. So you see, these are the types of people that they bully. Nice people. People who are kind, generous. People who are the opposite of mean, rigid, and inflexible. They target good people. And I've said that before. I mean, obviously, these narcissists, they're not going to target people who are bad, crazy, or dangerous. They're not going to put themselves in that type of situation. They're weak. They're cowards. They're very fragile and insecure. That's why they feel the need to dominate and control you. Of course, they know exactly what they're doing when they pick their targets. And they target you on purpose because you're just a genuine, kind soul. You have a light. And in fact, guess what? They are wrong. Because you are beautiful. You are a wonderful, amazing person. And you have so many good qualities that many of you aren't even aware of. Because you've been kept down for such a long time. You haven't been allowed to see that. To see just how great you are. Because they don't want you to know. And we can go into the dynamics of how this comes about. Because again, they're viewing you as an external regulator. You're an extension of them. So they're living vicariously through you. Because they're disconnected from themselves and their own emotions. They actually have no self at all. To even generate their own power and energy from within. So they're living vicariously through you as an extension of themselves. And now it's all about your feelings and emotions, your reactions, how you view yourself, how you feel about yourself, and how you view and feel about them. And then that's what helps to support this false reality for them, where they can then feel good about themselves and see themselves in the way that they want to be seen. The problem is that yes, it is a false reality, and so it is dependent on you for its validation and support, and to prop up their false self. So really it can't exist without you unless they can find a replacement, a suitable source of supply to do what you do. But of course, as we know, that is very rare. Because most people, they're not just going to go and doubt themselves and their abilities. Or if they are, maybe it's because they're really not just that great. Or it could also be that they may be trying to manipulate them as well. Because maybe they get something out of it from validating their false reality and their false self. So that could be the case with a lot of people. And that's so they know that yes, it is very difficult to replace you. It is very difficult for them to find someone else. But once you stop invalidating them and supporting their false reality, once you begin to wake up and you begin to build your self-esteem, you begin to realize just how great you actually are. Then they go from feeling big and better than you to then feeling small. So they're no longer going to be trying to seek the validation, the admiration that they were initially seeking from you. Although in some cases, if they get incredibly insecure, and I mean really insecure, they will just skip the love bombing. Because they look at it like, all right, it's going to have more of an effect by not doing that here. And it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because of them. That's why they skip the love bombing, for that reason. Because what they want the most potent effect. They want whatever's going to make them feel like the shit in that moment, So that's what helps them to decide whether they're going to love bomb you or not. But if they already feel threatened by you, and it's difficult for them to idealize you because they can't feel like they're with you and as though you're going to cooperate with them, then they're just going to be like, nah, forget that. And instead what they will do is just go straight to the devaluation, devaluing you and degrading you, putting you down, making you feel small, making you feel bad about yourself, making you feel like you're good for nothing. And even if you do manage to move on, even if you do manage to climb out of the pit of misery that they have created for you, even if you do manage to do that, they won't want you to be good for anyone else after they are gone, whether they're done with you or not, especially if they're not. 121 live viewers. If you're finding this video helpful so far, please hit that thumbs up button down below to show your support. Thank you. But yeah, as I always say, as within, so without. How a person treats you is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves. So when they're treating you bad, they're making you feel small, insignificant, unworthy. They're making you feel ugly. They're making you feel bad about yourself. It's because they feel bad about themselves in comparison to you. Are they using you as their reference point? Because guess what? You're an amazing, wonderful person. And they're never going to be anything like you. They're never going to be anything in comparison to you. Because you are far greater than them. But many of you, you don't even know it. You don't even realize it. But that's what motivates them. That's what drives them to want to take you down. They want to take you down a notch. They want to humble you. They want to deflate your ego. And it's not that you have an overinflated ego like they do, where they're arrogant and they have an exaggerated sense of their own abilities and importance. It's not like that at all. Because with you, as we all do, we do have an ego. Of course, we need to feel important to some degree. Otherwise, someone could come along and attack us, kill us, and we wouldn't even stand up for ourselves. If we had no ego at all, we wouldn't even eat. We wouldn't do anything to take care of ourselves. And we wouldn't expect reciprocation. We wouldn't expect anything back in return. So, a non-existent ego, that's definitely not a good thing. That's actually very unhealthy. Although that is exactly what narcissists want for you. Unless they can use your ego against you, but that's only if they have maybe some kind of position of power, some elevated sense of control, where regardless of your ego and your drive, your motivation to be better and do better, it won't have the type of effect that you're expecting, such as in a workplace or in a family setting where they've already manipulated the people around you and turned them against you. So in those situations, even if you do have an ego, it's not going to be that much of a threat to them. Which is why they're not going to be too bothered about that in those situations. But when it's just you and them, and they're maintaining that code of silence, they want to keep your ego right down. They want to put that ego out. Because then that is a serious threat to them. Your ego might just wake you up and tell you that you don't deserve to be treated that way. And then you may go out, abandon them, expose them. So that's when the ego becomes a problem for them. But if you're in an environment where everyone's just pretty much exactly the same, they're not going to be too concerned about that then. But yes, Your ego is very important. They want to try to deflate it. They want to make you feel less important, as though you're undeserving of your wants and needs, your desires, your hopes, ambitions, your goals. They want to shame you for all of that. And here's the thing, because it's actually got nothing really to do with you. And it has everything to do with them and what they're projecting onto you. They're deflecting their shame onto you because they feel like they're undeserving, they're not good enough for anything. That's why they devalued you. That's why they turned against you. That's why they bullied you, for that reason. So they're the ones who feel like they're not deserving of their wants and needs. And when you look at it, the way that they behave, in most situations, I would say that's not true. But with them it is, because they are actively abusing you, making you feel ugly. And you're not doing anything to provoke them, but that's what they're doing to you. So of course, yes, they should feel that way. But what they shouldn't be doing is projecting that onto you, because of course they targeted you for a reason. You're a wonderful person, and through keeping you small, it's making them feel big. And that's how you know that they feel undeserving. That's how you know that, because why else would they have to make you feel small in order for them to feel big? Why can they not feel big around another big person? And it's not because they're not big enough. As we may see with celebrities, politicians, no matter how big they are, they always feel small. They always feel the need to keep people down, because it's always just superficial, it's externally. Inside they still feel small. And that's why when you come around, when they're around you, they always feel small in comparison to you. They feel like they're nothing to you. They're not on your level. And that's why in any moment they want to counteract that. They want to be ahead of it. They want to manipulate and control it. And I mean, this is why, if you look at them, it's like they've become these master manipulators, these orchestrators, these magicians, these illusionists, only without the hats and the long beards. But that's pretty much what they are. That's what they had to become, to manipulate and orchestrate reality to produce their desired effect, to make things appear how they want them to, rather than how it actually is. Because reality and the truth is against them. It doesn't serve them. It makes them look bad, and it makes them feel bad about themselves. This is why they like to publicly humiliate you and get everyone else involved in it, to make it seem more believable to themselves, because it doesn't seem believable on their own. They've got to get other people involved to support it, because they have no power on their own. How could they, when they don't even feel big? They feel small. They feel unworthy, they feel undeserving, they feel like they're not good enough. But that's exactly how they should feel, because they're not good enough. People who behave in that way, people who engage in those types of behaviors, that's clearly what they're demonstrating. That's what they're communicating to us. And that is what they should also be communicating with themselves. Only it's like they can't receive their own communications. They're not even conscious and aware enough to even see what they're indirectly expressing to us about themselves through their dysfunctional behaviors. Because that's exactly what it does reveal. If you believe that you're good enough, you're not going to stop. You're not going to go back on what you're trying to do. You're not going to engage in corrupt acts. You're not going to do the wrong things. You're not going to turn against people. You're not going to publicly humiliate them. You're not going to start smear campaigns. You're not going to do any of that. If you genuinely feel worthy, if you feel good enough in yourself, and that's how, and it always comes back to this. Every time that I talk about these topics, it always comes back to this. And you've got to think, how can so many people feel unworthy, undeserving? And of course, it's because you're an empath, you're a chosen one. And you should look at it like this. You should look at it like, first it's you and them, it's you and the narcissist. You're not on their level, they're bigger than you, or they're elevating themselves at your expense. And then they bring in their troops, their army, their minions. How many people have they got against you, on you? Maybe they've got a few people, 5 people. You should translate that as, even with those people, they feel like they can't match you. Especially if over time you see them bringing in more and more people to target you and be against you. That reveals that you still haven't met your match. And how many is it going to take? Do they have to turn all of your family and friends against you? Do they have to turn your co-workers, your boss, everyone in your community, do they have to turn them all against you? Is that still not enough to match you? And is it because you're the greatest person in your community, in your town, in your city, wherever it is? Is that the reason why? Nope. In fact, what I would say, it's because we are chosen ones. We're chosen by God, and that is why we are empathic. Because that is the image of God. He's forgiving, he's merciless, he's kind, he's empathic. Unlike Satan, who, as we know, of course, is the exact opposite. But we do not want to be anything like that. We do not want to be anything like that at all. Because somewhere in there, we do have self-esteem, we do have self-love. We do believe that somehow, some way we can achieve our goals and dreams and what we want for ourselves in our lives. Somewhere inside of us, we do believe that. We do have that self-esteem, that self-love. And that's why we haven't given up. That's why we still continue to follow the correct path. Well, as for these people, they chose to go a different way because they couldn't hack it, they couldn't do it. Even with all of their fake family members and friends, all of their flying monkeys and enablers, they still could not do it. They still couldn't get to where they needed to go. And that is why they had to take a different path. But don't be fooled, because they didn't just suddenly take a different path after being involved with you. They will try to make it seem that way, but no, in fact, they were like that way the entire time. Long before you came around, they were always like that. They've been that way since they were a child. They believed that they weren't strong enough, they weren't good enough to hold on to their identity, to hold on to a true self, so they abandoned it. And they created a false self that's meant to be flawless, perfect, everything that it needs to be in whatever situation that it is in. And that is why, honestly, nothing you do, nothing you say, it's a waste of time. You will not get through to them. You will not get them to understand, no matter what they do to you. Just like that 12-year-old girl I was talking about, who was bullied to the point where she took her own life. No matter what they do to you, it's never going to be enough. They're never going to be satisfied. Even if they, not for you, but for someone else, hypothetically, if they got someone to take their own life, they still wouldn't be satisfied. Just like with that 12-year-old girl who was bullied to take her own life. And then this other girl was commenting on her social media, or on some social media, wherever it was, saying that she wants to go to hell just so she can stomp on her head. Now that really reveals, I mean, if we want to talk about feeling ugly, feeling like garbage, feeling like you're nothing, you can't take someone to a level that you are not already at yourself. It's not possible. So they've got to be there already. And in fact, what you will find is that is where they belong. That is where they reside. That is where they are every day of their lives. And yet, seeing you in the light, you're experiencing joy, you're experiencing peace, you're experiencing happiness. All of the things that they can't. It makes them feel so bad inside. It makes them feel like that's never going to be like that for them. And that's why they are the way that they are. But yeah, there's nothing you can say, nothing you can do to get through to them, because they're at such a low level of consciousness and awareness. To where, yes, they may seem like reprobates, reptilians, whatever you want to call it, they may seem like that. But they're pretty much like robots. They're hardwired to behave in a certain way. Because there's something inside of them that still hasn't been resolved. And that will never be resolved. They're always going to be that way because they have an external locus of control. So they don't believe that anything is their fault or that they can change or be in control of anything. This is why they're constantly and obsessively seeking power and control for that reason. Because they feel like they can't hold any power, any influence. They can't impact anything. Because they really feel that insignificant, that irrelevant. And that's why they do anything they possibly can to try to remain relevant. But it never works out that way because it's always fake. If they were to be relevant, they should just come out right now and say, yes, they are a monster. They are a horrible, wicked, evil person. And they have done wicked things. They have abused, they've exploited, they've manipulated, they have betrayed. They have done so many things that are bad and wrong. But of course, as we know, they're never going to do that. They're not even going to admit to one thing. And the reason why is because if they did, it would open the floodgates to everything else they have done. As I said before, in one of my earlier videos, if you wrote your flaws, faults and mistakes down, they would probably fit on one small sheet of paper. Well, as for the narcissist, it would require a book the size of the Bible. That is how many things that they have done wrong. And even then, that may just be the things that they've done to you. Just the things that you can remember. If you wrote them all down, it would fit in a book the size of the Bible. It probably would. But even then, as I've said before, what you think you know, and this is where it gets very dark, because you think you're dealing with a monster, a demon, an evil person. You think they're really bad, you think they're like the worst thing that's ever been created in this life. You think that, and I'm not saying that they're not. What I'm actually saying is that it's far worse than you think. It's even worse than that, because what you think you know, that is the tip of the iceberg. And you think you're disgusted, you're repulsed by them now. You think what you've seen so far is bad. You think that's bad. Just imagine how you would feel if you knew everything that their enablers know. Just imagine how you would feel then. And then that should reveal to you what type of people they are. But even they won't have the full scope of the beast, the monster that the narcissist actually is. But they're going to know far more than you. Like as I said, there's the tip of the iceberg. The flying monkeys, they might see a little bit more of it. And then the enablers, they might see a little bit more again. But even then, there's probably all of this down here too. So it looks big, it looks like it's a lot, but it just goes on and on and on. And no one may know where that ends, even the narcissist, because they have this toxic amnesia. They don't like to remember the bad things that they have done. And that's how you may be aware of it, but you try and bring it to them. You say that they did this, and they won't even remember that. They'll think that you're gaslighting them. But hold on to your truth. Hold on to your reality. That is very important for you. But yeah, that's literally how it is. It's that what you think you know is only the tip of the iceberg, and it could be a massive iceberg. You may never know how big that thing is. And yet the enablers, they're likely to know a lot more than you do. A lot of the sick, twisted things that they do. And yet they still continue to enable them, to be around them. And that should leave you without any doubts. Because even the things you know, the things you can't accept, that's enough to make you question if they're all narcissists. So just think of all of the things that you do not know. That should leave you without a shadow of a doubt that they are. I mean, they may not be full-blown MPDs, but they are highly narcissistic. They're highly messed up. They're shame-based. They're just miserable, envious, hateful people. And that should leave you without any doubt of that. Because even for you, the things that you've seen, you're repulsed by that. You can't accept it. You can't overlook it. The enablers, the flying monkeys, they're seeing far more than you do. They're aware of so much more. And yet we wonder why they act that way, why they're so bad. I mean, it's not just the things that you're seeing, and as I've said before, they're haunted by the things they do. They're shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame, to avoid going within and accepting themselves. And that is why they can't accept you. You can try to accept them. The problem is, how can you accept something you don't even know? Because again, all you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. You don't know everything else that's underneath that. You don't know all of the other things that they have done. And they are also disconnected from themselves, especially those who are on the higher end of the spectrum. Many of them can't even remember a lot of the things that they have done. They minimize it to the point where it no longer exists in their reality, as though it never happened, as though they never did anything. Because they're completely disconnected from themselves. They've disowned themselves. And if they are disowning themselves in every moment, they're assigning these negative things about themselves onto you, to try and deflect the shame onto you, because they feel bad. They feel like something is seriously wrong with them, and of course they should, because it is. but they are stuck on a loop. They are stuck in an endless cycle, and they will never get out of that, because as Dr. Ramani said, they have this shame abuse cycle. So unlike us, when they abuse us, we feel shame, and then we go within, we feel bad about ourselves, we try to be better, we try to change, we try to mold ourselves into whatever they need us to be in that exact moment. But as for them, when they feel shame, and it gets to the point where you can't say or do anything anymore, because anything could trigger them, anything could make them feel bad about themselves. So no matter what you do, there's always going to be something wrong with it, because it's going to trigger their shame. And because of the shame abuse cycle, they will then abuse you. They will seek to punish you, because they feel bad about themselves. And if they feel bad, that means that you must have done something bad to them, because they see their feelings as facts. If they feel hurt, you must have hurt them. But yeah, I'm going to try and sit down here now. I tried to sit down earlier, but as soon as I did, the signal went off. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. I'm just in this field here, while the sun is hidden behind the clouds, so it's not too hot. I see we've got 183 live viewers, but only 34 thumbs ups. So if you have found this information helpful so far, please hit that thumbs up button down below. I'm giving you this information based on my 6 years of research, my lifetime of personal experience, and you're getting it all for free. So the least that I would expect you to do is to hit the thumbs up button down below, so then it can help to get this message out there to other victims, other survivors as well, because we all need to work together. We all need to do our bits to make people aware of this, of what is going on in the world, because it's not getting better. Maybe it will get better at some point in the future, I don't know. But right now, as far as we do know, it is getting worse. And we can see the trend, we can see the progression of narcissism and a lack of empathy over the past few decades. I've done all of the research, I've read so many reports, and yeah, I mean, since the feminist movement, 1979 onwards, there was a dramatic decrease in empathy around the world, and it just keeps getting worse. And although people may say, oh, that's human nature, to be narcissistic, to be unempathic, actually, nope, that's not true at all. Because scientific research has shown that prehistoric humans were compassionate. And of course they would have been, because how else could we have gotten here today? And yet, the state of the world today, and things just keep on getting worse. And yet, if you look on social media, TikTok, Instagram, you could be quite easily fooled, because everything looks so perfect. Everything looks fine and dandy. It's like everyone's got the perfect home, the perfect marriage, the perfect children. Everyone's living their best lives. and then you read the reports, the research, the statistics, it will tell you the complete opposite. And just look at the crime rates, the divorce rates, the percentage of dysfunctional families in the world. Just look at all of these things. This is just the world that we are in today. Everyone is in denial. No one wants to accept the truth. No one's actually living. People are living, but they're not even alive. It's really sad, but this is how it is. But as for me, I find it far more valuable, far more beneficial to accept the guilt and shame, because that is a part of myself. Even if someone did deflect it onto me, it's mine now, and I've got to do something about it. And I find far more value in that than pride or ego. There is no value in that. It's not going to help you to achieve anything. And yet that's what these narcissists are most concerned about. I don't know if we've got the moderators in here in the live chat. Yeah, it looks like we have. I'm often just turning it off these days now because there's always so many trolls in the live chat, and it's not really that it makes me feel bad about myself so much. It's more just a distraction from the message and from what I'm trying to say. Because of course I want to help people, I want to respond to them, I want to give them the answers. But there's no point, as I said, responding to people like that. Because all they want is to make you feel small so they can elevate themselves at your expense. They're not looking for resolution. They're not looking for anything real, they don't care. But yeah, this is the message for today. Out here at the back of this mall. Whereas, you know, I have done many videos here in the past. I've achieved, I don't know, maybe 100,000, 200,000 views in this area. So makes sense to come back, do another one. But yeah, I hope you found this information helpful. I hope it helped you to feel better about yourself, to feel more attractive. Because when you're in a relationship, when you're around someone of the opposite sex, you should feel handsome. You should feel beautiful. You should feel good about yourself. If you don't feel good, then there's a problem. And it doesn't mean that there's a problem with you, because let's just entertain this for a moment. If you could see that someone wasn't feeling good about themselves, what would you do? You would do everything in your power to try and make them happy, to try to make them feel good about themselves. But these types of people, these narcissists, they're not going to do that for you, because they look at it like, what's the point of making you feel good when they're still going to feel bad? And not only that, but some of them, especially those who are higher on the spectrum, I don't think they even want to feel good at all. If you look at it, it's like they seem to thrive in dysfunctional environments. They enjoy fights, arguments, problems, chaos. They enjoy bringing people down. So they don't want to be happy. They don't want to make you feel good about yourself. They don't want anyone feeling good. They just want everyone to feel down, unless they can use it for tertiary supply to polish their false self, so they can get supply from friends, the community, whatever it may be. And that's really the only exception for that. But other than that, they don't really care about it. And even then, it's still fake. It's just to garner admiration from other people. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. Appreciate all of you, my live viewers, my subscribers. Hit the thumbs up button down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live or when I upload a new video. And if you would like to donate, you can go to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. You can also book a one-on-one coaching session with me by going to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Got a fly near me there. And also I got my Instagram. I posted a video last night, on night Q, where I am now, of a tuk-tuk that crashed in Sri Lanka. And within about 45 minutes, maybe less, it already amounted over 20,000 plays. So definitely check that video out, among many other videos that you can find on my Instagram. Follow me on there. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. All right, coming to you live from the back of this mall. Thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.